In 2010, something happened that would change the course of the LEGO company forever. It would be a huge change in a beloved franchise that would affect so many people. This was of course the announcement of LEGO Pirates of the Caribbean, which would later debut in 2011. It was one of the best lines LEGO ever did, behind Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. But no, the event I'm actually talking about is of course the cancellation of Bionicle, the line that had been running since 2000. 2010 saw the release of the Stars line, which was not great, and it was the final wave that they did until the 2015 reboot. I don't think this is an unpopular opinion to say, but Bionicle was fucking awesome. I loved it. I still love it. I even liked the 2015 and 2016 reboot, which was cancelled because nobody bought them. This is why we can't have nice things, because you guys won't support it. The Bionicle reboot was awesome. Fuck you guys. It's great. I even liked Hero Factory, Bionicle's replacement. I thought it was pretty cool, especially in the middle waves. I never collected every set of this or the Bionicle reboot, because I was a poor child. But I really wish I did, because there was a lot of incredible sets. However, the last wave before Stars was 2009's Glatorian, which was accompanied with a movie, Bionicle, The Legend Reborn, which is what we're going to talk about today. I remember I watched this movie a lot as a kid, and I remember liking it, but I don't really remember anything about it. But I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. In fact, it's my biggest secret. A secret so big and so dangerous that it could get my LEGO VIP card revoked. There are many who consider what I am about to tell you to be heresy and would crucify me for saying it. So don't tell anyone I told you this. This is going to stay just between you and me. I never once cared about Bionicle lore.
You need to leave! It's disgusting.
I know, it's blasphemy, I know, I'm sorry. I barely know the difference between a Baraki and a Fantoka, a Borak from a Rakshi, a Matoran from an Agori. To tell you the truth, I don't even know what most of what I just said means. I just googled Bionicle words, and some of those came up. I'm not even kidding, I don't know what it means, and I don't care, I don't want to know. I don't care about any of it. I loved Bionicle, but I always thought it was so much more fun to just do my own thing. I made my own custom guys, I made my own lore, I did all kinds of stuff, and I had a great time. But I never cared about the official lore. I tried to get into it, really, I did. I read some books, I saw some of the animations, I saw some of the movies, and I just didn't care about any of it. But I watched The Legend Reborn quite a bit, possibly because it just mostly abandons the majority of the lore to do its own thing, and I also like watching big robots punch each other. Is this just a huge ad designed to make me buy toys, exactly in the vein of Clutch Powers, which I watched a couple years ago? Absolutely. Did it work? Absolutely. I wanted all of them. I never got all of them, but I definitely wanted them. But is this movie as good as I remember it being? Absolutely not. So let's watch it together, from the perspective of someone who knows nothing about Bionicle lore. The movie opens on a shot of the continent that most of Bionicle takes place on, Mata Nui. There's some narration from Worf from Star Trek, that's not a joke, he's in this, he's the main character, about beginnings or whatever, and then the entire continent breaks apart and a giant robot comes out. He's filled with little dudes and is apparently the protector of them. And then immediately the robot dies and the little dudes are enslaved and captured and the spirit of the robot breaks out and leaves. We are 2 minutes in and I have no idea what's going on. The spirit has apparently stored itself in the mask of life, whatever that means, and then just flies into space for a while. Eventually, it reaches a planet and crashes into it, where it is immediately swarmed by little scarab beetles, who promptly run away when the mask decides it wants to glow and form a body, as you would expect. The body is of course set 8989, available for $12.99, or set 8998, which was an upscaled model, available for $49.99. This new body stumbles around and then messes around with the only beetle left, almost killing it. He picks it up to apologize, and in order to accept the apology, the beetle turns into a shield. Because why not? Eventually a scorpion-looking dude, set 9883 Vorox, available for $12.99, comes and attacks the new body. After a very mediocre fight, he rips the tail off of it, and it just runs away, as a little white dude pulls up at his Tesla. 8976, available for $6.99, and set 8995, available for $79.99 respectively. The little white dude introduces himself as Metis, and his mouth is very weird and makes me uncomfortable. Some of the Bionicles later have a very similar mouth, and I hate it. Mata Nui introduces himself as such, And while we're on the top there, the body introduces himself as Matanui. And while we're on the topic of mouths, his mask opens up to show his face, and I hate that. It looks so weird, and it's way cooler when it's closed. Kind of like Optimus Prime in the Bay movies. Metis and Matanui drive off, with Matanui just hanging out on the roof. And eventually they reach a city, where everyone is gathered for something. Matanui asks what, and this is Metis' response.
You'll see.
Why did you say it like that? Matanui and Metis go to meet the leader of the city, set 8973, Ranu, available for $6.99, and he explains that they're all gathered to watch a gladiator fight, which is how they solve disputes between villages apparently. There's a really weird interaction between them, and then two fighters come out, both available for $12.99, set 8982 and set 8985, and they are noticeably bigger than the villagers. I guess they're just bred for slavery and entertainment. The two fighters battle each other in the slowest fight I have ever seen, but the white fighter cheats, and Matanui jumps into the fight, intervening to save the red guy. However, he loses horribly and gets whacked into a rock. Matanui is losing, but fortunately, his face decides to make a sword and saves him. Also, this is something I'm going to mention now, but it's present for the entire movie. It's reached the point where I have to say something. The pins along their bodies are constantly spinning, and it's so incredibly distracting. Why didn't you just make them solid? It's so frustrating. With the white dude defeated, the red dude takes Matanui back to his cave to show him his shield collection, or whatever, and introduces himself as a car, and he's voiced by Winnie the Pooh. Also this guy. Metis meets up with him to convince Matanui to fight in the arena and pledge his life to the sport, which Matanui refuses to do, saying he wants to go home, and threatening Metis, scaring him off. Eventually, a blue chick named Kina comes in, set 8987, available for $12.99, who apparently everyone thought was crazy for believing in other worlds and aliens. She's annoying, and I don't like her, but she says she wants to help Matanui if he takes her off-world with him. The three decide to go to Kina's village to start their search, and along the way, they start to get chased by Skrull, the people who live outside the villages. Apparently, they don't like anyone and have been getting bolder in their attacks on the villages. The riders, available for $19.99 in set 8990, Pharaoh and Skirmix, chase after the trio, but they accidentally set off a Scarab tank from Halo, set 8996 Scopio XV1, available for $89.99. I always really wanted that one, it's really cool. They all fight for a bit and eventually trick the Scarab into shooting the riders, killing all of them instantly, and crushing the Scarab under a bunch of rocks. Also, this happens. Also, Matanui's smile is terrifying and haunts my dreams. Eventually, the trio reaches Kina's village, and it's burning, and everyone is gone, which Kina's very calm about. A green dude named Gresh comes out of the shadows, set 8980, and he's hurt and available for $12.99. They rush to help him, but oh no, the Skrull are still there, available for $6.99 each, set 8972, Atakis. The Glatorians slip into a cave to escape, and enter this really weird portal place that apparently represents the elements that used to be on the surface. Also, there's a little blue dude in the cave with them, and his name is Barracks, set 8975, available for $6.99. And he's voiced by Johnny Test, which is incredibly distracting.
I mean, come on, who do you think got the lights working, huh?
Also, you know, this guy. Kina hates Barracks because apparently he's a thief, but he is able to fix Gresh. Matanui thinks that the cave is very familiar, and his mask activates a big door, which leads into a laboratory that has a picture of his big robot body on the wall. They decide that getting out of here and not dying is more important than figuring out the cave, and they leave. Akar says he wants to train Matanui, despite Matanui proving himself to be very capable, and Matanui upgrades all of their weapons so the toys can get cool accessories. Also, they mention that their weapons before they're upgraded are made out of bone and cloth. I don't know where these robots are getting bone, but okay. Matanui declares them as Toa, which I don't know what that means. And also, they're all friends. They all head to Gresh's village and then all just pile up onto his car, set 8975, Thornatus V9, available for $79.99. Their new weapons give them elemental powers somehow, and they just fuck around with them for a little while, having a little Harry Potter duel. Akar decides to train them by trying to murder Matanui, and they all have a little lesson together. The word Matanui has lost all meaning. I've said it so many times, I can't do it anymore. The next morning they reach the village, and the soundtrack is really weird. There's another gladiator fight going on, with each fighter available for $12.99. Set 8981 Tarex and Set 8986 Vastus, and when they enter the arena, they both just decide to throw away their guns after shooting each other like once, and it's very weird. While the fight's going on, the trio goes up to meet the village leaders, available for $6.99 each, and stop the fight to make their point. They also convince the villagers that the Skrull are coming and they all need to team up, which works. Also, apparently Akar has taught Matanui everything he knows, despite only teaching him for about 3 seconds. The night eventually comes, and Barracks is sneaking around these weird rocks, and Kina catches him and believes he's a traitor, but apparently he's not, and he was following someone. But before he can tell her who, a bunch of Skrull ambush him because something has to happen in this movie. Metis runs and tells the Glatorian what happened, and Matanui decides to run after them alone as the others get ready to defend their village. Also, Matanui sees something cool in the rubble that the villagers are pushing around, and he just decides not to share this with his buddies.
Incredible.
What is it?
I will explain later.
Meanwhile, in the Skrull village, Kina and Barracks are having a heart-to-heart or whatever, and Matanui eventually arrives to save them. These fucking names, man. In order to provide a final boss for the movie, the Skrull leader Tuma steps out, set 8991, available for $19.99, and he decides to fight Matanui instead of just sending his army of goons at him. The two fight for a bit, and it's very underwhelming, but thankfully Tuma has a very obvious video game weak spot on his back that Matanui exploits. Using this weak spot, Matanui just murders Tuma in broad daylight and takes his shield. It is here that the movie reveals to us that Metis is in fact the traitor, a twist that definitely no one saw coming. Metis decides to finally sick the goons on Matanui, and the beetle runs away, only to return with a giant mech made out of beetles. The big beetle monster is unfortunately not available, but its outline is remarkably similar to that of set 8979, Malum, available for $12.99. I had Malum as a kid, he was one of my favorites, and I always found it very weird that this happened, and also that Malum never shows up in the movie. Matanui frees Barracks and Kina, and the Glatorian and the villagers just decide to arrive instead of defending their villages. Also, Tuma's shield that Matanui was carrying around totally changed color. It was green and now it's red. The battle ensues and Barracks fucks around for a bit. It's pretty lame, I won't lie, and the villagers seem to be noticeably absent the entire time. There's a little speech about honor or whatever, and Matanui turns Metis into a snake. That's not a joke. After mutilating Metis, Matanui just teleports back to the group somehow, and the Glatorians all decide they want to win, and to create a big old laser that wins the fight. This is also the most nothing joke of all time and the most hollow generic laugh I think I have ever seen.
Don't ever do that again.
Oh, you know, I think I liked it better when you hated me. You can let go now.
If it seems like I'm going really fast, that's just the movie. It gets wild at the end. The movie cuts to the villages all uniting, dragging around giant Bionicle parts to make a wall or whatever, and Barracks pulls out a little coin with the giant Matanui from before on one side, and the Skrull symbol on the other. Somehow Matanui thinks this is a map, and he does the most terrifying smile of all time. And the movie ends with the group all heading out together, getting ready for a sequel that will never come. Well, yeah, that kinda sucked, I won't lie. Was it the worst movie I've ever seen? No, not even close. Was it just a giant ad designed to make me hand my wallet over to Lego? Yes. Did it work? Also yes. Some of those Bricklink prices are looking mighty tempting. But this movie in itself, it's not that bad. There's some enjoyment to it. I don't think the animation is awful for the time. It's not great, but it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. It's not funny, but there are some cool robots, so, I mean, there's something. If you like Bionicle lore, I think you'd get a lot more out of this, but as someone who doesn't know anything about Bionicle lore, I didn't get a whole lot out of this. And honestly, it's kind of depressing that this was the last major Bionicle wave ever before the advent of Hero Factory. Again, there was Stars, but Stars sucked. I never cared about the lore, but lots of people did. I loved the toys, and the original Bionicle line had a certain charm to it that the Hero Factory or G2 was just never able to replicate. The way the old pieces were made and the way they fit together, it was just, there's nothing else really like it. That being said, I do think that the second generation of construction parts are much better on a toy perspective. A lot of the detail was lost, but the new parts are just so much better. They just fit together a little easier and you get a little more versatility out of them. Gen 1 pieces were great, I'm not trying to talk shit on them, but Gen 2 pieces were more durable, they work better, and I think I just prefer them. Well, I think I'm going to end this here. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe, and if you want to, you can follow me at all of these links. Sorry this video took forever, but I got really busy playing LEGO Star Wars, and school was very hard. But I have a bunch of new videos I'm working on, and I'm working on a new project as well that should be out pretty soon, so keep an eye out for that, I guess. Have a good night, everybody. I'm going to try and avoid Bricklink. Also, LEGO, please bring back Bionicle. I know nobody bought it last time, but I have money now. I will give it to you in exchange for Bionicles. Anyway, thanks, see ya.